Hello and welcome to the 1912 Exiles podcast, the original, the biggest, the best Newport County podcast made by the fans for the fans. I'm Ed and I'm flying solo for this introduction section of the pod. Before I tell you what's coming up, I need to say a couple of things. Firstly, we remain powered by the Terrace Cymru podcast network, and I'm delighted to say for the second season we are brought to you in association with the Riverside Sports Bar, the home of live sport and music in Newport. A big thanks to Dan from the Riverside for agreeing to keep that partnership going for another season. It really helps us, and we hope that over the course of next season we can organise a few post-match meetups in the Riverside so that you as listeners can come on for a chat and enjoy the excellent food that they have on offer. And while I'm thanking people, it would be remiss for me not to thank the brilliant Tinty and the Bucket Hats for continuing to let us use their cover of Disco Land as our theme tune. Tinty and the Bucket Hats are playing the Cullean Festival on Saturday the 12th of July. Specifically, they are playing 6:50pm till 7:30pm at the Hanbury Quay. So get along and see them if you can. They tore it up in the Campton stand before the Wales game the other night by all accounts as well. So, what have we got in store today? Well, in a moment, we have an interview with some of the gang from County and the community. But first, I thought I'd do a really quick recap of another madcap fortnight in the world of Newport County AFC. Since you last heard from us, well, Oldham got promoted up from the conference into the 4th Division. Good news for Ian and other northern-based county fans. Not so good for the rest of us, although Southend wasn't a much more accessible away day. Personally, I am looking forward to ticking off Boundary Park if the fixture computer is kind to us next season. And speaking of away days, we've also had 4 friendly matches announced so far. So Newport County will visit Pontypridd on Tuesday the 1st of July, Worcester City on Saturday the 12th of July, Weston-super-Mare on Tuesday the 15th of July, and Torquay United on Saturday the 19th of July. If I was a betting man, I'd say we still have a few more fixtures coming, particularly in that big gap between 1st of July at Ponty and 12th of July at Worcester, so let's keep our eyes peeled for that. What else has been going on? Well, there was a small matter of, some eagle-eyed folk spotting that County had been made the subject of a player registration ban by FIFA. It's not a transfer embargo per se, but County would still have been allowed to sign players, but wouldn't have been able to register them to play games, which could be a bit of a problem. Kudos to Chris Scoop Kerwin from the Argus for very quickly getting a statement out of the club, which said, "It is nothing for supporters to concern themselves with. It's just a minor administration dispute with FIFA, which will be settled shortly. It relates to a spurious compensation fee for an academy player that FIFA claimed we owed to another club. However, the compensation fee was paid months ago, and the club in question has confirmed receipt. It is extremely frustrating dealing with FIFA, a process which we know several other EFL clubs are experiencing regarding compensation claims, but the matter will be rectified shortly." And sure enough, that all broke on Tuesday, and by Saturday the ban had been lifted, no doubt to the delight of David Hughes, with the transfer window opening on Monday the 16th of June. And elsewhere, former county striker Jefferson Louis announced his retirement, aged 46, after 28 seasons, having played 903 games for more than 50 clubs with 293 goals to his name. That is a hell of a career, although county fans will best remember him for being tackled by a goalpost against Hereford back in 2012. And if you want to relive that moment, we did repost it on our YouTube page a few days ago, so pop that on. I think that's it for news round, so let's move on to the main business. Every summer we try to catch up with the club's community arm, County and the Community, to hear about the work that they do. I always look forward to it because it's a heartwarming reminder of the good that football clubs can do and the way that sport and football bring people together to make the world a better place. And whilst Newport County might be a 4th Division club, I'm not sure enough fans realise that we have a Champions League level community team. Honestly, the breadth and depth of what they do should make us all proud, and they deliver all this stuff with a real passion and soul. So with that in mind, I caught up with Richard Taylor, Mike Pratt and Norman Parcell from County and the Community to get an update on their current activities. Let's pitch to the clip. Right, well, here we are. I'm joined by friend of the pod, Norman Parcell. How you doing, Norm?
I'm all right, Ed, thanks.
And also 2 new voices. So we've got Rich and we've got Mike. I better start off by getting you to introduce yourselves and tell us about the work that you do at County in the community. So, Rich, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, thanks, Ed. Yes, Richard Taylor. I'm fan engagement officer since September. I was previously deputy head at Easwell Primary, so obviously had good insight into getting children involved with county and football generally. And yeah, essentially my work is sort of developing not just the younger fan base, but the fan base generally, focusing on sort of diverse areas of the city. And as I say, particularly with the younger age groups.
And how does that differ from being a deputy head teacher then?
I was going to say less stress, but working with Norman's always no, it's certainly it's certainly different, but yeah, really rewarding. And I mean, always keen on promoting county around the city, obviously, and particularly now with this role. And it's great going to schools to see so many county shirts. I was up in Pontypool last week, and with that after school girls club, and there were 4 of them. I had county shirts, which is really quite rewarding.
I can tell you, just this weekend, I was out kicking a ball around in the park with my kids in Cardiff, where I live, and I saw not one but 2 other people walking past in county shirts in Cardiff. So we're spreading the word. We're spreading the word.
Yeah.
And Mike, introduce yourself. Tell us about what you do.
Yeah, my name's Michael Pratt, former player in Newport County and Newport AFC, inclusion coach. So my work entails everything. Because it says inclusion, so I do disability sessions, over 55 sessions. I do a little bit of schoolwork, going into primary schools with PE. My major role, driving a minibus. Do you mean? But basically, it's open to everybody. Do you mean? The inclusion coach role is just being open to everybody and making it welcoming for everybody.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll come back to that, I think, because it is something that seems to run through everything that County and the community do. And it has, I think, really started to change the makeup of fans at Rodney Parade as well. But Rich, you start off perhaps by telling us about the fan engagement work more broadly, because I know you've got so many different strands to that work, and it'd be good just to kind of list some of them off, I suppose, and the ones that you're perhaps tell us about the ones that you're most excited about.
Yeah, one of them, it gives me an opportunity to go to lots of primary schools. The theory is we take tickets ahead of a game. So this year I must have been to about 17 or 18 primary schools. The reason it's not 23 is obviously some of the match days falling in Christmas and Easter holidays, etc. But aside from taking tickets, I actually deliver a presentation on the history of Newport County from 1912, which obviously covers all aspects of the football. But I'm conscious as well, going into the schools, that, you've got children in there for whom, perhaps have never been to a football match, know very little about county, and maybe not really particularly interested in football. So you've got to hook those as well, as opposed to just giving the standard football sort of info. So we talk a lot about generic things. I mean, we introduce it with a picture of the Titanic. And Norm gave me the line that the Titanic only sank once, which is a good starting point. And, everyone is then thinking, well, the Titanic, what's that got to do with football? But you get those children who are kind of interested in history side of it, will tell you all sorts of facts about the Titanic. I tell you, there's nothing now I don't know about the Titanic. Chris Shingler gave me a picture of Chris from the Nostalgia Group, gave me a picture of county from, I think it was one of the first pictures, 1912, 1913, which I introduced quite early on in the presentation. And that involves, a discussion about the clothes they're wearing at the time, that, like, for instance, the trainer would have had a long coat, flat cap. They talk about that. There's a pocket watch on there. So they'll say, oh, my granddad used to have one of those. We talk about that. There's one of the guys in one of the early photos is smoking a cigarette. So talk about, healthy living, the fact that smoking wasn't people weren't aware of the dangers of smoking then. So it's all sorts of things aside from the football. Talk about World War II, Kennedy winning Division 3 South. Talk about that. We talk about Macy Sports, picture in 1970 with John Macy. And, Macy Sports do 99% of the school uniform. So we talk about that. Nice plug for those there. So, there's lots of generic things that get children really involved. And of course, all sorts of, all the highlights of what there have been, and lots of lowlights of the history as well, from with a bit of maths, when it was 1970, however many games it was without a victory. We've got a press cut in from the 13-0 defeat against Newcastle in 1947. Also a press cut in for when County actually won the return leg 4-2. So the kids love these type of little quirky facts, and it's amazing. Some of the more, recent events, how they are very familiar with them. I've got a picture of David Hando presenting Ben White with the Young Player of the Year award when
brilliant.
whatever year it was, 2017, 18, I think, was it?
Yeah.
And the number of children who recognise Ben White as being the Arsenal player and putting two and two together, not perhaps realising that he played for County. Obviously, they're very familiar with the cup runs in recent seasons, So that's really exciting because it appeals to so many different people, which is great. Because I know from my experience in school, sometimes you used to have some visits coming in and you think, oh, well, brave face here, but feign interest. And, so you've got to be aware of that, which is good. But it isn't just the schools. I mean, as I said, I'm more familiar with schools, but I've been to liaise with the GAP Centre in Stowe Hill, which deals with refugees and asylum seekers. So I've actually delivered a presentation to those, and we gave those tickets for the I think it was the Warsaw game in Easter.
Oh, yeah.
We had about 20 odd people turned up for that. And of course, their interest in football is perhaps very, very varied from their clubs, from where they come from. And of course, your Man United, your Man Cities, your Arsenals, etc. But very little about County. So it's good to get them aware of the local history. And it was, some of them were actually taking notes when I was talking, which was really quite, interesting as well.
And I suppose, I guess the thing that all those kind of groups have in common, whether it's young kids or refugees or whatever, because football is this kind of common language that we all have, it is a thing that might get you talking with someone else who you might not normally talk to. That might be a kid in your class who you maybe haven't interacted with, or it might be someone from a completely different culture. But it just sort of starts getting people talking and mixing a bit. And I guess the thing that's occurred to me, sitting in the Hazel stand, and I always see kind of big groups of kids, being given free tickets by County in the Community coming along, and it's not about suddenly next week that kid's going to go and get a season ticket, or that refugee or asylum seeker is going to go and get a season ticket. But it gets them across the threshold and it demystifies the football. And so it changes their perception of Newport County. But I think it also changes the perception of those of us who have got season tickets and are there kind of week in, week out, about, we see different faces around us. And I think that's good as well. So it helps everyone, sort of both sides.
Yeah, it's a drip effect. It is. That's key, to be honest, because we're not suddenly going to put, they're not going to suddenly come to all games. But for instance, I went to Maindy Primary to promote one of our fan engagement days back in, I think it was October time. And obviously Maindy Primary, for those who don't know, is very, very close. It's within, a stone's throw of Rodney Parade. And some of the children there, when I said, we've got this fan engagement day in a couple of weeks' time at Rodney Parade, one of them put their hands up and said, "Where's Rodney Parade?"
Huh.
And it shows that, there's perhaps with certain people maybe less of a cultural awareness of the football club, its location, what it means, etc. So the very fact you get those to Rodney Parade, be it on a fan engagement day, be it for a match day, and you involve the parents as well. And yes, it may be a one-off, but it raises awareness of the club. It raises awareness in that community, and I think that's, as you said, it's a drip effect, and it's not going to suddenly increase the gates massively, but it's raising the awareness of the club all the time, which is crucial, and get some people talking.
And we just recording this, listeners, the day after half term has just ended. So I'm delighted because my kids are back in school and I've got peace and quiet around the house. But I know that County in the Community were doing all sorts of bits and bobs over half term and still various pictures up on social media. Was that on kind of your side, on the fan engagement side, Rich?
Parts of it, yes. We had one of the soccer camps that we run was actually at Rodney Parade on Thursday, which was great because it gets people, gives people the opportunity to play on the actual playing surface before it's being work's been done on it for the summer. So that was significant. But we've actually held 3 engagement days, 4 now actually, at Rodney Parade, almost always in half terms, obviously, which we target different groups to come to. The first one, we targeted 3 sort of primary schools in the Maindy area. The second one, we worked with Pearl Millennium Centre with a group called Kid Care for You. And we had 96 people, primarily, but not exclusively, of Asian background who came to Rodney Parade, with parents in many cases. And what that involves is obviously there's not a match on a fan engagement day. So they do a carousel of different sort of sports and activities. It may be some sort of shooting challenge. It may be a bit of dodgeball, sometimes some cricket, small-sided football games. So they rotate around those activities while the parents can either go around with them, or they can sit in the marquee and enjoy a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, and they get lunch provided as well. And they have experience of what it's like. Sometimes we've had a dressing room tour as well. We've had photos on the pitch. We've had players have come to a couple of them. Those things are really good. As I said, that was Kid Care for You, which is a group based in Pill. We've also worked with Exiles Together, which deals with kind of the Maindy community. They've been involved in an engagement day. So it's getting those along to Rodney Parade, onto the pitch wherever we can. So they've got those kind of lasting memories that will have a bit of an impact. And obviously the aim is that they do come to matches.
Brilliant. And I guess to leap from perhaps one end of the age spectrum to the other then, Mike. So, I mean, if Richard's doing all this work with, particularly with kind of kids and young people, I want to talk to you about the new kind of memories group that had its initial meeting back in April and sort of plans for that. So tell us about it.
It was originally, it's from the EFL, it's for brain injuries, and it was for ex-players. But Christy Shingler, I think, got in touch with us, and they wanted to expand it for supporters as well. So, it was great for us. So we did a taster session back in April. We had 38 ex-player supporters come. Oh, it was I've done a little picture quiz with them. Just get a feeling, and
the noise level. We had to get them to calm down, because they come in at obviously at 1 o'clock.
Yeah,
They come in at 1 o'clock, Ed, and you could imagine people hadn't seen each other for ages, and they were all catching up, and it was like, whoa, come on, we got to get some positive here now. Listen, he was all positive, but
it's like people you haven't seen for years. You mean there was a load of goalkeepers there?
I was just going to say, a load reunion, wasn't it?
It was a goalkeepers reunion, but we're looking to start it probably in August when the first home game. Do you mean it'll probably be midweek? But there's no venue at the moment. We're hoping to go with Rodners, but it's
price.
Price. I think it's price over there, but but it looks good. Do you mean it's a good intake? Very good intake up, and it was all positive thoughts, good feedback, and all. It's very good, and it's also a lot of mental health and well-being for people, because there's probably, I won't say everyone, but there's a couple of them probably live on their own. Do you mean isolation? That just get something. We're just talking about the football club and just memories, in it. Just talking football is the language, in it, for people.
Yeah, and I mean that's definitely been something that's come across in some of the things that I've been along to in the past with county and the community. I went to the football kind of nutrition group. I mean, it was great that there were people there thinking about what they were eating and exercise. But actually, like you say, it's people who otherwise might not be getting out and about and having chats with in a kind of friendly, informal environment, able to do that. And it's all that stuff around it. I mean, we always say on the podcast, the football sometimes, gets in the way of having a nice day out with friends. But and is there a plan to kind of structure some of those sessions so that you might concentrate on sort of different eras or different kind of elements of the club, or is it just a sort of free for all and just see where the conversation goes?
We probably will. We've planned something, design it. Yeah, it will be different eras. Do you mean there's with our last meeting, there was players from 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. Do you mean even 2000s, which is nice. Do you mean it's lovely all the way through? So we will be switching a little bit.
That is Ed. Rob Phillips came along at the end. So there's John Relish got an idea about different players, like Mike just said, from different eras, maybe taking a 15-minute slot and maybe doing a question and answer, maybe fans likewise to say about your memories, your greatest memories and stuff like that. So so it might be someone could say in the time they went to Carl's Shayna, or they were there at Walsall, or the Wembley. Yeah. Exactly. So but it is, Ed, that is. I think if when we get back to the first one in August, I think then we'll kick on and try and structure something then for the year. That'd be ideal, and try and book people in and people who are comfortable. Obviously, you don't want people uncomfortable sat up there answering questions. So but there is a plan to structure something. So with it to do.
Well, keep us posted on it. In particular, it seems to me like there's a gap to have something laid down and recorded where we capture, like the sort of oral history of Newport County. Things like people's memories of Somerton Park. I mean, I'm 42, and I'm too young to really remember Somerton Park. They're having memories kind of recorded of the Exiles years, all that stuff, so that those younger fans, can sort of get to hear about it as well. Beyond the things that you've already talked about, the presentations and stuff. It'd be really good to think how some of that could be captured for posterity, I guess. Another
interesting thing, Ed, going back to former players, is that this coming Friday we're going to St Michael's in Hill, and Norm, with his contacts, has arranged for Tony Pulis
to
talk to the children via a link. So I've got some past players of county with sort of St Michael's connections, Tony being one of them, certain Mr. Parcell obviously being another. And Tony's going to answer some questions, which is amazing, really, for those children. Talking about living history, we got a former Premier League manager on the scene.
Amazing. That, I mean, fantastically inspiring, I guess, for the pupils, but also, just anything to remind the city of, like you say, former Premier League manager and great stuff. Anything else, Mike, that you want to sort of flag up about the work that you're doing and things you've got plans for in the months ahead?
Also to Extra Time Hubs, their over 65s program. I go in every other week. We do some fit fans in there. We do some exercising and healthy eating with older residents, but they really enjoy it. And I go to Tredegar Court every other Thursday, and I go to Bainswell, up the top of the Bains, St Mary's Court in Bainswell, the following Thursday. And we just run activities. Do you mean we sit and have a cup of tea with them, a chat? It's really engaging. They do skittles with them, all different types. With the fit fans, we do different types of exercises with them and diet, and which they all know, but it's just gentle exercises where they just get themselves moving. And again, a lot of, I won't say it's a highlight of the week, but they don't see a lot of people. And also, we got a walk-in football group, which we've been going in for 12 months on a Wednesday morning at Albion Rovers. We had 2 sessions originally, a men's session and a ladies session. The men's did not really work. We had about 3 men, but fair play, they still come. So we amalgamated to a joint session. So we have one session, it starts at 10:15. It's a 11:15, and we get about 12, 13 bodies, but a majority of them are ladies, do you mean? And it's a good session and all. Really, not say good social side, but they come afterwards at Wacker's place. We have a cup of tea afterwards, have a chat, and they really enjoy it. So that's another session, which is for the over 60s.
I love the walking football session I came along to last summer. It was, I mean, as with everything counting in the community, it's just lovely atmosphere and people just out and about enjoying fresh air and a bit of company and a bit of activities. Just great for the soul.
We had I'll tell you this one, Zurevich, where the 2 lads come, Alan and Steve. I won't say their surnames. They both work for the
civil service.
They work for the civil service, and the one lad put a lot of weight on last Christmas. Locked in, put a lot of weight on, and he said this has just been a lifeline to him. Do you mean just come in? He said the hardest thing for them was coming. Do you mean putting that foot for the door? But once they're there, they really enjoy it. And they've Alan's lost a lot of weight. Alan, that's the other boy. He's lost over 2 stone, and it's just, I think he's healthy in himself. Do you mean? But he's just, it benefits his missus, sees a difference in him. Do you mean? It's just positive. Do you mean? It's really good vibes.
And Norm, I better let you have the last word, because you'll have the last word, whatever happens. But give us a bit of an update on counting the community as a whole. Anything else that's coming up or that listeners might want to know about? I mean, I'm always just overwhelmed by how much stuff is going on under the counting the community umbrella. But what's leaping out at you at the moment?
No, first of all, Ed, thanks for getting in touch again and wanting to give us a chance to say about the stuff we do. So that's great. So a big up to you, mate. But as well as what the lads have said, you can do this in isolation. So we're very, very lucky to have brilliant trustees we got a smashing group of trustees who volunteered, obviously, come and support the work that we do in the background, and they're there as a guide. They're experts in all different sorts of things: the business, finance, safeguarding, all this sort of stuff. So we're very lucky to have 10 volunteers who are local people with them sort of skills. So that's vital, especially with the times going at the moment where things are tough. Moving offices, the fact that we're 8 years in Church Road, a lot of people probably don't know that because Rodney Parade couldn't accommodate us back in the day, back in about 2017. So we moved to Church Road. We've now moved to Corporation Road, thanks to Mr. Pure Vans, Dave Greenaff, allowing us use his old facility. That's been great because it's on one level, so that's great, and it's a better environment for us as well to grow and stuff. Ed, we're moving up the Blackwood, as in delivering sessions up there through Liam Jenkins, who runs all our community programs. We obviously do work with the Premier League Kicks and the PCC in Gwent, so we run sessions in England for youngsters from the age of 9 to 19 to come along and have safe space to play football and other sports. So we're going up to Blackwood in the coming months for the first time. So we got some funding. So we're going to go up there. So that'll be good to see. Obviously, that's a positive. As well as the trustees supporting us, we probably, Ed, had the best support from the club and from Rodney Parade in the last 10 years. We probably this year, which is lovely. Rich mentioned about the engagement days. And the staff at Rodney Parade, obviously, we built up a relationship over years, and like to think that we try to do things as good as we can. And having the chance to have Rodney Parade for the girls' schools competition, and then community kids, like Rich mentioned, Exiles Together, and then link it. So that's been great. We've had some great support from John Raymond and the staff there. We've had great support from the club through Jonathan Wilshire and Gareth Evans. So we got some work to do. We get, I think Rich mentioned about more players come into activities. So we got some work to do there, but we're all aware of that. And hopefully this year we'll get more. But it was a tough season, and we find in the years we've been here, I mean, I've been here 12 years now, counting the community. Will be at a charity 10 years on the 19th of June, but we've been 12 years here now, coming up in September. And it's tough when we're not winning so many games. It's obviously the first and foremost, you've got to win matches, get points on the board, and then players. But yeah, we need to get, as a community club, we do need to improve getting out there more, the players. So that's what we're going to hopefully focus more on. And we have our good vibes. And we're all looking forward to the new season, new management team and the new season, because obviously we're all quite excited. We've been appointed in the team. So
if the club's doing well, it's a feel-good effect, isn't it, for everybody? Yeah. And that's all we want when the buzz, don't we? Do you mean we want the football club to do well? And it's just a knock-on effect.
Goes hand in hand, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. It does. There's no.
For me, it's lovely to see, like you mentioned earlier on, the different loads of children there with Cymru tops on, which we've never seen years ago. And it's, do you mean, it's great, and fair play. The gates have been good. Do you mean the gates have been good? Do you mean because they haven't been the best on the eye, but the gates have been good.
And I see. So yesterday, I think we sold 1,400 season tickets already. So we're kind of where we would want to be, despite that really kind of difficult end of the season. And I also noticed, Norm, that County and the Community have got a new revamped website, and that on there is a donate button. So anyone who wants to get behind County and the Community and support the work you're doing can go to that. We'll put a link in the show notes. And that's another nice little development.
Thanks for the plug, Ed. I think that was last week. The website was updated. So now brilliant. We've been very fortunate this year, Ed, with people from different sides of the club and supporters and stuff like that, contacting out of the blue and say we'd like to donate some money, which is every little help.
Well, look, gents, thank you all very much for your time. And I do hope that before too long we can get along to one of those memory sessions and see what it's all about. But thank you very much for your time this morning, and all the best for the summer.
Thanks, Ed.
Thanks, Ed.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
Great stuff. Please do make sure you follow County in the Community on their social media channels, and do make use of that donate now button on their website if you want to support their work. We as a podcast donated a chunk of money recently from the Nick's Tactical Tumble Fund that many listeners contributed towards last season, and I'm sure we'll do something similar again next year. That basically wraps things up for today. We have a few irons in the fire for other content over the coming weeks, so be sure to keep yourselves subscribed so you don't miss an episode. But until then, do good in the world and may it do you the world of good. Look after yourselves, look after each other, and above all, as always, keep it county.